Hey everybody, welcome back to another Tech Biz tutorial. It has been a while. Been involved with classes and taking a few vacation trips and just really enjoying the summer vacation. Now I'm ready for a little instructional video. We're learning today how to take a graphic from Illustrator and animate it using Adobe Animate. As you can tell, I'm probably one of the world's worst illustrators. So using Adobe Illustrator, I just made a simple graphic of a head, a body, and 4 limbs that I'm going to use. If you want to make a stick person with Illustrator, or if you want to make like a snowman or BB-8 or whatever, you can feel free to use that. I'm just going with this because it's simple, and yeah, I think it'll work nicely enough for our demonstration. So I saved this. I called it Football Illustration. And it's just the .ai file, all right, for Adobe Illustrator. All right, the other thing I will do is I'm going to open up Adobe Animate. We can go to File and New. There's a few ways we could set this up, but what I will do, just because I'll select Full HD 1920 by 1080. It doesn't matter too much what we're doing on this particular one, but that's what I'm selecting, and go to Create. Give it a second here, and we open this up, and it's got a very familiar look as with most of the Adobe programs. Right away I will save this. I'll call this Save As, and I will call this one Football Loop because it's a football player. You can call yours Animation Loop, call it whatever you want, and then we'll be ready to put this thing together. So going back to Illustrator here, kind of navigating between two programs here currently, I'll select everything, go to Control C to copy, and then we go to Adobe Animate, Control V to paste. And do I want to use the file importer preferences? Yep. I have that selected there, and both of these bottom two are checked, and I'll click OK. It's going to put everything in one layer anyways, and if I want to make that a little bit bigger, then I can use my free transform tool here, and I'm going to hold shift and resize. It's not like Photoshop where you used to have to hold shift to scale it, and then it was like, now you don't have to do that, and they move it up. These guys here, they still like you to hold shift when you're scaling it. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and that looks pretty good. Alright, so once I have all those selected, I do want each of these parts to be on their own layer. The easy way to do that is to right click when it's selected and go to select Distribute to Layers. It's going to put everything on its own layer down here. Pretty convenient. Alright, and here's what I'll do is I do want to select some of these layers and merge them to have less parts to worry about later. Alright, so to start with, layer 14, working my way from the bottom up here. Layer 14 is the whole body. Layer 13 is the pants. Okay, so I'm going to control click those in the timeline. It's going to select both of them. Right click, then merge layers. Alright, and for now I can call that body. Alright, just to make it easier later. If I select my layer 12, I have the head there and the helmet. So I'll right click and merge these, and I will call that layer head. Alright, perfect. Now on layer 10 and 9, this is going to be a simple animation. I'm not going to have a ton of moving parts. So I actually am going to have the hand and the arm just as one appendage. As you learn more about Illustrator, you may want those to be separated, and you sure can. But for what we're doing right now, I'm just going to merge both of those and call that layer arm right. Alright, over here on the other side, selecting the arm, the hand, and the football. Merge the layers. Arm left. Alright, I don't know if this selects above. I don't know if it'll merge two non-adjacent layers, so I'm just sliding that layer 3 down to where it's right next to the layer 5 and merging the layers. Calling it leg right. Select these two layers, merge the layers, leg left. Awesome. Alright, so those are all together. I will tell you what, I'm actually going to select the head and the body and merge those together because I'm not going to have the head move that much different either. So merge layers, and then I'll just call that whole layer body. Alright, so okay, so they are making me put an underscore there. That's fine. Alright, so we have these 5 appendages for our animation. Now what I need to do is I need to actually convert these into symbols. Alright, so starting with the left leg, I'll right click, go to convert layers to symbol. For the type, make sure it's on graphic, and I'll just call this the same thing that I called the layer so it avoids confusion later. Type leg left, OK. And you'll notice over here on the right hand side in the library we have a new symbol in there for our football loop.fla library. We have leg left, the symbol. Alright, same thing over for this next one. Convert layers to symbol. Leg right, make sure it's graphic. Click OK and it adds it over to that pane. Convert to symbol. Arm left. Convert layers to symbol. Arm right. Finally, convert layers to symbol. I'll call it underscore body so that it matches. Alright, so each of these symbols are represented, and now we can begin to animate these. Sorry about that. Wow. Alright, choosing my free transform tool, and I want to find like where these animations are going to hinge, or like if it's a body like this, where are the joints of the body going to be? Alright, so here I am clicking this circle in the middle, this little origin point or rotation point, and I'm moving it to where the joint would be, so between the body and the leg here. And you'll be able to see later on, wow, if I made a separate one for the lower leg and the upper leg, you could do the same thing at the knees. But here we're going basics here. This is our first animation that we're doing with this. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Sometimes that cursor jumps that circle around. If you zoom in a little, it helps. Sometimes not. Alright, here I'll select this one for this arm and go right there. Alright, this looks pretty good. Alright, so I have those selected. Now for the timing. I'm going to select these frames, and I want to go down here to the 40. This is 1 second. 30 is equal to 1 second for these increments, but I kind of want to go with something that it can be divided by 4 easily. So I'm going to go a little bit more than that, go over to the 40. Once all of those are selected, I can right click and insert frame. Alright, and then what I will do is select, it doesn't matter where, just I have all of these layers selected. I right click and select and create a motion tween. Alright, a motion tween turns this into a block of time, and where I make little points from the beginning all the way through to the end of time, I can choose where I want it to be, where I want it to end. And then this program's going to say, okay, now I'm going to tell you what that will do between point A and point B. It's kind of confusing, but here's how this would work. So let's say, for example, for the legs. Okay, I'm going to go over here to 10 seconds on the left leg. Alright, and actually even before I go to that, where I start, so this, I'm going back to the beginning, sorry about that. And with this leg here, with the left leg, this is selected, I'm going to choose where I want it to be at the start of this animation. So using my free transform tool, rotating where I want it to be at the end, okay, or where I want it to be at the start of that time frame, that's where I want it to be. Alright, now I can go here to 10 seconds and bring the leg up as far as I want it to be. Okay, when I click and drag in between there, now it's telling me what's going to happen between point A and point B. Okay, so that's kind of how these motion tweens work. To have it be kind of fluid, I'm then going to right click in this first one, in this first frame, copy properties, go to 20, paste properties. Then I'm going to copy the properties from 10 and paste the properties at 30. Go from 20, copy the properties, and here at the end, paste the properties. Alright, so when I look through this, I can see the leg is kind of pedaling itself by. It's like he's skateboarding or something. Alright, so that's the first leg there. Now for the second leg, same thing, right? I will go to the beginning of the time frame, free transform tool, rotate where I want the leg to be. Then I can go to the next part of the time frame and choose where I want the animation to stop. Right, then once I do that, copy properties, paste properties, copy properties, paste properties, copy properties, paste properties. Alright, so here we have legs running. Nice. Alright, going back to the beginning here. Talking about like pixel perfect and all that, you can see where the legs don't really match perfectly with the bottom of the body. So I could go ahead and move the legs and move those origin point circles again. In this case, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move these two layers, the leg right and the leg left. I'm just going to move them below the body. And that way the body's hiding where those are. Alright, so just kind of paying attention to a few of the details. Again, this is just practice, so it won't be too much of a stickler, but I did want to point that out at least. Alright. We'll go up here to the arms. I want the arms to move at a slightly different rate than the legs so that it looks a little better. So here at arm left, it's okay if I have it right there probably. That's probably fine. Football coaches would say, that's not high and tight with the ball. What are you doing? Somebody's going to strip that ball out. I'll go here to the 20, select that frame, and here I will go ahead and just move the ball down a little bit and then copy the properties of the first one and paste the properties. Alright, so now we can kind of have a little bit of variation in the movement. Alright, and then for the other arm, this one maybe we can have him move his arms a little bit more, so I can move this arm up here, come to this point in time, move the arm here at 20, and then copy the properties, base properties. Alright, yeah, that looks pretty good. Playing through this, that's a nice single loop. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to actually take all of these layers. I'm then going to convert layers to symbol, and this time I want to select movie clip. Alright, and I'll click OK. Alright, when I try to play the movie symbol, it's going to look like nothing's happening, but when you use Control Enter, it will actually give you the preview of what's going on. I wish it would show that in the preview there, but it doesn't. So just don't freak out when it doesn't seem like it's not working right away. Alright, that is done, and I need to select this part of the time frame and create a motion tween again. I want this person to have a little bit of movement as they're running, so it's not in a perfectly level line. So starting here at the first frame, I can move this character up a little bit. So I might just go like 25 arrow keys up and see how that looks. Alright, and that's on the first frame right there. Okay, when I go to 10, then I'm going to go down 25. Alright, when I move this, it just looks like he's just kind of bouncing up and down. Alright, we can copy the properties, do kind of what we did before. Copy the properties. Alright, so if I copy those and paste those properly, I just kind of have that up and down movement. But if I use Control Enter, alright, we have kind of a decent animation going right there. Alright, so I can close that out. Now, what I will do is one last time here is right click, convert layers to symbol, movie clip, and I'll just leave it as symbol 2 for right now. And if I select these layers, go to Insert Frame, and if I select these frames, go to Create Motion Tween, and go to the beginning, and now if I move my character here to the right, and then at the end point drag them all the way to the left, right, this is what we'll see here when we are ready to preview it with Control Enter. We have them running across in there. Alright, so this is obviously something you'll want to kind of play around with. That seems very fast to me, so I might click and drag this out and see what it looks like at 4 seconds. Alright, and then when I press play, that might be a little better. Alright, so Control Enter. Yeah, much better. Not so fast where we can't see what's going on. And there we have that animation. If I wanted to, you know, and I created a background, I could always go over here to New Layer, make sure this is at the beginning, add a new layer, make sure it's below the animation, and then you could paste a picture on there of a football field or whatever you created, whatever atmosphere, and play it and have them running across the field. But I think that's kind of a cool little animation. So basically what you're doing is you're making an animated character, and then you're creating that into a movie symbol, and then you're adding a new movement where you want all of the other previous movements to be adjusted to, and that's what gave him kind of the hitch in his run. And then finally we created one more of the movie symbols and had them start from the beginning to the end, and it's like an animation with the animation with the animation there. So it's something to play around with. You know, when you're done, you can save it. You could save each of those as separate files too if you wanted to. When you're ready to convert it to a actual movie file, you just go to File, and you can go to Export, and you could do animated GIF or whatever, or you can go Export Video / Media. It'll show you up here, and you can choose, like, you know, if you want it to be the MP4 style or whatever settings, and then you export it, and then you can incorporate that animated video into your Adobe Premiere Pro or whatever video editing programs you want. Or you could just have it as, like I said, the animated GIF. So that's how we made an animation. We went from an illustration to this. Play around with it. Let me know what you think. If you have better tips or some better ways to do that, sound off in the comments below. I'm always looking for that feedback. It's always super helpful for the other followers too. And let's see what kind of cool animations we can make and put together. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.